I apologize. You come on over to my house, I'll fix you up some chicken noodle soup. Make you better in an instant, I swear. And we're gonna start it off tonight. We're gonna talk about that dumb little I can't say what I want to say about her. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She was doing a Zoom call with this pudgy boy. I got my mammal's recipe for some fudge. I can't make it for you if it's humid, because it turns back to sugar. Because that's what it is with the mammal fudge with a recipe from Virginia. Because they it doesn't even have like amounts. I just gotta like feel how much sugar to put into the water. Who's coming down this weekend, ma'am? What? Am I gonna have to make some fudge? Low blow, are you okay? I want to know what's going on. Well, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was talking to this pudgy dude right here. Let's hear what they got to say.
Comes from Iris, a Bronx constituent. I would like an update about plan for infrastructure projects and jobs for our community.
Oh, great. So as many of you know,
goddamn, she's stupid. She was stumped. You saw that? Just like, it took her a whole 5 seconds to even fucking say great. We're in for some stupid shit here.
Catch up on the news if you've been at work.
Left-wingers and morons.
Or rather, the Biden administration unveiled its.
That's about all she's good for is looking at.
Proposal. Now, here's some of my initial thoughts on the proposal.
This woman right here is certainly not a smart lady with degrees in like foreign affairs and economics. It's not like she knows what she's talking about. Now you do not come in here and start praising this evil socialist commie. That's what the C in the AOC stands for. Alexandria Ocasio commie.
I think that the scope of what the Biden administration has laid out is very encouraging, and it's admirable. The vision that they put down, and going so far as to talk about land use, to talk about billions of dollars in rail, in EVs, in making sure that we're putting EV charging stations across the country, to make sure that we are making investments in Amtrak, in public.
EVs. What does EVs mean? Is that some sort of transgender thing that she's putting in all over the country? Is that their plan, to put men in the women's bathrooms? I don't know what you're talking about, ma'am. Parody.
Care, etc., is really important. However, I think the vision is good. I think we can make it broader, but even if you have the vision that the Biden administration has put forward, my concern is that they have allocated $2.25 trillion over about 8 years.
$2.25 trillion. These tax and spend liberals, you knew exactly what they were going to do when they came into office. They're going to raise taxes on the job creators, and then they're going to go spend money on the bridges that are falling apart. Who would do that? We're supposed to let the bridges fall apart. That way the private companies can come in. They can build new bridges and take over road systems and charge us tolls. That's what's supposed to happen. Bernie shirt. Who? No, ma'am. No, nobody has no Bernie shirt on around here. Who would wear a Bernie? That's a communist. Do you think I'd give my money to a communist? like Alexandria Costco commie.
To act out on this vision. And it's just not enough. If we actually want, in good faith, to make this vision and the commitments that they've put down happen, we need a more robust investment. I have real.
I mean, I have to drop the character at some point in time because I do have to give a speech later in the show.
Is not going to get us there. And for context, because people may say, "Oh my gosh, that sounds like a big number." You know, what is that? And we see these big numbers thrown around, and we don't know, what to toss around. One allocation that we saw was about $40 billion for public housing nationwide. Right? That's part of in the plan. For context,
because like when we get to the transgender thing, I have to give an actual speech and make points. But and like when we get to the Derek Chauvin trial, like that's too serious for me to actually fucking around. Like there's no way I'm actually gonna suck that cop's dick once we get over. But until then, I'm gonna play the character so we can talk about AOC and stupid ass Biden.
NYCHA, the New York City Housing Authority,
here on the Patriot Patrol Live with the hardest right man in news.
Just to get up to code and just to get to the point where we're making up for the underinvestment during Republican Congresses and administrations. And so we need a lot more than 40 billion if we're going to go and make these investments across the country. And that's just getting NYCHA up to code. That's not including new bills.
That's what she's talking about is the 2.5 trillion that Biden has proposed is actually over 10 years. I didn't know that when we were listening to the initial proposal. It is woefully inadequate for the situation that we are in. Remember, I said last night on the show, look up the ratings of the bridges and the roads in your town and be just fucking shocked. You may not want to go out and drive on them. I started freaking out on bridges because I know how fucking dilapidated they are. We got a giant ass bridge over the Tennessee River not far from me. And we were going over it one day and the traffic stopped and I'm like freaking the fuck out. Like, ooh, I really would like to get off this fucking bridge because we have not taken good care of our infrastructure in this country. So $2.5 trillion, but to play devil's advocate, in Biden's defense, he's breaking the bill up into two different bills. He's got two shots at the reconciliation within like this year. So we've got two more gigantic bills. The first one, the 2.5 trillion or almost 2.5 trillion that AOC is criticizing at the moment. But there's another bill coming down the pike that'll be later on this year. Also focused on recovery spending, probably going to get another stimulus check sometime by June, and I wouldn't doubt that there's another one following in the fall. Once again, woefully inadequate, but hey, at least it's something.
That's not including actually leapfrogging these buildings and retrofitting them.
Oh, right to work is an issue.
Standards. That's to make sure that these horrifying things that we see.
I'm not sure because right to work and all the precedents, the worker protections around it, those come down to court cases. And I don't know at this moment in time like what they can do legislatively to counter that, unfortunately. Especially on the state level. I live in a right to work state. It's bullshit.
Every winter, where our residents in NYCHA don't have hot
we can't
water.
take a chunk out of it by extending federal protections to like trans people, where you can't fire people for being trans because the federal law trumps the state law on that. But then even they get around it now. They don't fire you for being gay. They fire you for like Hey, of course not. That's with any Republican bill. They're so good at messaging. Like calling the estate tax the death tax. The right to work is not right to work. It's right to fire whoever the fuck you want. I have a look up the Salty Pastor on YouTube. He did a fantastic breakdown of the theology. At my advice that he do this for the Little Nas X video. Breaks down all the theology. Does a really good job. I'm going to have him on the show here soon. I was going to ask him on for tomorrow, but I'm sure he's a fucking reverend. I'm sure he's fucking busy because it's Easter weekend. Yeah. It's like, just they will come up with the most minuscule reason to fire you, just because it's a right to work state. So like, as long as they can come up with something that seems legitimate, they can fire you for being gay or trans all they want. It sucks.
And where you see that their apartments are just not in a humane condition, that's just to get it up to in relatively acceptable zone. And so to talk about the context of what we need, that's why we need so much more.
Because he flipped the script. He turned their theology against them. That's and the Salty Pastor even goes into that, of why like it might upset some people, because like he's taking it and putting it back in their face. I love it. That's why I'm not even that big of a fan of the song, but the video was sweet. All right, so Axios had a piece today about how Biden. Oh, wait a minute. This Axios piece about how Biden is selling his infrastructure plan to the dumbass Democrats. They constantly make we are constantly upset about Cardi B. Cardi B makes me feel like I got a dick about this big. Do you not understand that? Cardi B is a powerful woman that speaks her mind and is in control. I as a right-wing conservative Christian male, I can't handle that. I can't handle challenges to my power, my authority, my manhood. And like, she's all of that wrapped into one, and it drives me nuts. Don't you get that? And I'm the one in control because I'm the white man. God damn it, woman, how do you not get this? White men. You can have some issues with raping and everything. I understand that. Ma'am, I got the biggest truck with the biggest tires. You can't go any. They're huge. I'm lying. I don't even have a truck. White House senior advisor Anita Dunn is making the case that Democrats can't lose by rallying around President Biden's infrastructure plan because its individual components poll even higher than it would be really annoying if I read it like that, wouldn't it? White House senior advisor Anita Dunn is making the case that Democrats can't lose by rallying around President Biden's infrastructure plan because its individual components all poll even higher than the $1.9 trillion COVID stimulus passed last month. So all the individual components of his infrastructure bill are highly popular even among Republicans. Bigger trucks shouldn't be a thing, or the American obsession with cars is absurd. The only reason you need a big truck is if you're like, cause I criticize people that are out here with these big ass trucks that are shiny, don't look like they've been in the dirt. You aren't actually hauling anything. You don't have any tools in the back of your truck. Like, what are you, a poser? Yeah, fuck that shit. But big trucks can come in handy if you've got actual stuff to do. Key components of President Biden's American Jobs Plan are overwhelmingly popular among a bipartisan and broad coalition. With a price tag of between $2.2 trillion and $2.7 trillion, depending on how it's calculated, It already has come under fire from Republican lawmakers and faces resistance from some moderate Democrats. Hey, Jessica, I bet it's your senator that's going to be a holdout on this. One of the YouTube channels I watch about election news, a very dry channel too. They had a video today that was like Joe Manchin switches parties. They had me. I'm like, oh yeah, it's April Fools. People do shit like fucking make their show the Patriot Patrol. With the hardest right man in news. But Dunn's memo suggests that rather than worry, Democrats can lean into the popularity of the individual components they need to. That is the problem with Democrats, is they never own their legislation, even the shit that's popular. They don't own it. Dunn cites public polling showing between 74% and 87% support among Americans for 7 elements: new job training for coal miners, highway and bridge work, increasing affordable child care, expanding broadband access, expanding family and medical leave, upgrading public transportation, and investing in clean energy. So Axios also published the Amtrak unveiling their vision of an expanded rail map under Biden's infrastructure plan. Oh fuck, it didn't make the picture any bigger. The expanded rail system, funded with $80 billion from Biden's infrastructure plan, allocates rail specifically. It would create jobs, improve the quality of life, reduce carbon emissions, and generate economic growth. And that's true. I was reading earlier today about the Eisenhower. First of all, like Eisenhower marched through the fucking roads with tanks or some shit when he first got elected, and when they couldn't go fast and make any ground during the journey, that's when he realized that the nation needed an interstate highway system. So 3 years later, he set it in motion. There's no way coal is coming back. There's no coal to come back. We reached peak coal in the 90s. Peak coal, because you can only mine out 50% of the coal before you get to a point where on the other side of that, it costs more and more to dig further and further down to get more and more coal. So once you reach peak coal, it's no longer efficient to be able to mine it, because you have to keep going down, or take the fucking tops off the mountains, which I'm completely against. I shed a tear every time I drive into my hometown and I see the strip-topped fucking mountains with the weird trees. You can only plant evergreen trees there because other forestation won't grow. And they cover it with gravel. It looks so weird, fucking up the natural beauty of those goddamn mountains. I can't take it. And speaking of nuclear, I watched a thing earlier about Fukushima. Because, I'm on the fence about nuclear energy. I have my concerns. You watch something about Fukushima. And that, because I didn't know, that wasn't just a one-night event. It took a week before, those motherfuckers started popping off. But then on the flip side of that, Fukushima was a really old reactor. The workers came out and they said it hadn't been maintained. New safety precautions have been invented. So I'm still on the fence about nuclear. If we could do without it, let's do it, because fuck. We've come close to fucking ending life on this planet a couple different times. Handful of times. So but I'm also not against it, because I'm not against science if it can be done safely, and that's above my pay grade. I'm against a pipeline for numerous reasons, and going through sovereign land is one of them. Not only that pipeline, the Keystone Pipeline, the fucking pipeline that runs through Appalachia, which has gotten way less coverage. Fuck that pipeline too. But I am for an expanded rail system. Being able to have high-speed rail and go across the country in like a day would be like cool. The envisioned train network would create up to 30 plus new routes in 15 more states, connecting 160 more communities and serving 20 million more passengers. The company also says the expanded map would lower, and the thing about the Keystone Pipeline, now that you got me, because the Keystone Pipeline, Biden killing that was what killed all the jobs. It drove the oil price up, even though that pipeline was pushing shale oil out of Canada that they were selling to China to refine it. Because shale oil is like it's from the tar sands. And it's really hard to refine, and they weren't even, it's not crude oil going through that pipeline, even though everybody says it caused the gas prices to go up, because it did, because Biden's stupid. President Biden's infrastructure plan is what the nation has been waiting for, said Amtrak CEO Bill Flynn. Now, we all know Biden's fondness for Amtrak. I'm sure he's been taking some money from them too. America needs a rail network that offers frequent, reliable, sustainable, and equitable train service. Now is our time. Let's make rail the solution. I wholeheartedly agree. Now, they did not mention high-speed rail, but I'm wondering if that's what these yellow lines are in this system. Can't see the key in order to deduce that. Now the GOP has come forward and played their hand about how they are going to be. Oh, I'm sure they did. How much did he take from them? Ooh, 342 grand. God damn. They threw some Bernie's way too. They threw some Trump's way. They were gonna get behind whoever won because they were gonna push their plan. 300 grand's a decent chunk. But you can't deny, while it might be good for Amtrak, you can't deny that it wouldn't be good for the country. But now I want to know about investment in high-speed rail. Oh, that's what they spent to everybody. Oh, okay, my bad. I saw the 342. I thought that was Biden, and then I went down and looked at Trump and Bernie. Once again, just skimming over. 64. Okay. That seems about. If Bernie had been the nominee, they would have ended up giving Bernie 64. The biggest conservative caucus in the House has already released a game plan to fight President Biden's $2 trillion spending package and accompanying tax hikes, signaling just how tough it will be for Democrats to garner bipartisan support for the massive bill. That's another, all those Republicans are taking credit for the coronavirus bill and all the different provisions. They're doing it by taking credit for the individual provisions and hoping that their constituency doesn't know that was the coronavirus bill that they voted against. Because Republicans are slick and do shit like that. And that's what they'll do again. They'll try to take credit for this bill after it passes, but they're going to do everything they can to stop it because that's what their donors want. The Republican Study Committee drafted a new memo obtained first by Fox News to circulate to conservative circles, outlining point-by-point opposition to Biden's newly unveiled tax proposals. The RSC dubs Biden's proposal a Trojan horse, presented as an infrastructure package that harbors socialists. These goddamn socialists, they had taken everything over. Now, never mind the fact that Biden has been 100% bought and paid for by the American financial industry. He's still a socialist at heart. You know it. And even though all those people that gave him all those money, that's who I think is pulling the strings, they're socialists. Because they're gigantic corporations want to impose socialism on all of us. I'm sorry, I didn't have anywhere to go with that. I thought I was on to something there. Speaking of socialism, for a socialist president, he's a pretty fucking shitty one. Biden's stock market outperforming predecessors. The S&P 500 through the first 50 trading days of the president's first term. You can see Biden doing better than Clinton, doing better than Trump, better than Obama. I mean, Obama was in a much deeper hole. This COVID thing is I don't want to talk economics and COVID. But Biden doing the best with the stock market. So, what do you think about that, right-wingers? But the gas prices are going up.